It's the Betting Zoo, the only place to bet with fucking animals.
Welcome to the Betting Zoo, the only place to bet with fucking animals. I am the Lusty Bison. We are brought to you, as always, by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, use promo code THEZOO. That will guarantee that all your users that deposit and type in the zoo will receive 100% instant deposit match up to $100. And as always, it's Tuesday, so we are with the Probability Penguin.
Hello, Lusty, and hello, Zoo Nation. How you doing?
Zoom, zoom, baby, zoom, zoom. How's everybody's week going? What do you think of week 17 of football?
It was a phenomenal week of football. Some of them, I got to tell you, between the Antonio Brown antics and the stadium collapse onto Jalen Hurts, those have got to be two of the wildest things I've ever seen in football, and they happened within an hour of each other. It was a wild week and a great one for a lot of fantasy championships out there. I know I personally walked away with one, so I'll take that. Very happy to have that. How about you? What did you think of week 17?
Yeah, I mean, you put it great. Since they opened it up to the new week, there's always antics that are going to go off, but I did not expect to see that. The Birds wrapped it up. That's always nice. Cleaning a little shit off your hands, especially when we have the COVID scare that we do with the Eagles having 12 men on their roster with COVID for this upcoming game.
What a mess. What an absolute mess. A lot of those guys are likely to be cleared in time, but given that the Eagles don't really have any stakes in a win coming up in week 18, who knows what kind of lineup we're going to see. Yeah,
and last week, we went back and forth a lot on should Jonathan Taylor be MVP, should he not? And the beauty of picks during COVID is we decided that, with Carson Wentz out, why don't we let the game do the deciding? Carson Wentz comes back. Jonathan Taylor has an above average game. It's impossible to predict unless you're us, because we make you money, and keep listening to us. So here on the Betting Zoo, we have a gigantic announcement, momentous. Because of some recent news that came to us, we are now a Swedish football podcast. How do you feel about that? Some news came out on Christmas Day that we were one of the top listened to Swedish podcasts, probably of all time, on any medium. So we've done the painstaking research on our end to research our top teams and who our fandom is going to be directed towards. Who you got, Probability?
I'm a big Stockholm guy. I'm a fan of their herring, so I'm going to be sticking with AIK football.
Boo! They stink. Come on. Boo! Once you come up into Djurgårdens, I have football will fuck you up. What do you see behind the pine in the net? Jakob Windel Zetterstrom fucking saving everything.
In the interest of full disclosure, I know very little about soccer and I know less about Sweden, but I'm very excited to learn.
Yeah, you won't be as excited when Magnus Eriksson is scoring goals all over you.
Guy's on fire.
Let's do some recaps from last week. So last week I went 1-1. My lock did pay, as always, Birds minus 3.5. But my other bet was the Chiefs playing the Bengals. I think it is worth mentioning how electric these Bengals are. I doubted Joe Burrow's ability to perform in the top tier. And I think he's met that challenge. Jamar Chase is doing some shit. Is doing some shit I've not seen in a long time.
The guy is unreal.
Yeah, to put into context some of the stuff that he has been achieving, in 2019, the touchdown leader for the entire season was Kenny Galladay with 11. Jamar Chase right now, which I guess at the time would be a full season, has 13 touchdowns. So As a rookie, I mean, these aren't just impressive rookie numbers. He is established as someone that's going to be good in this league as a longtime member of the NFL for a very long time.
Yeah, I think the Bengals in general, Lusty, I think we're going to have to seriously retune our expectations for this squad. They've just gotten better and better with every game this year. I know I certainly have been guilty of history bias and thinking of this Bengals team as below par. But man, do they look strong and do they have a future in front of them?
Yeah, and I know he is performing well, overperforming, but he is not the best wide receiver in the NFL. How good is the best NFL receiver right now? Well, I'm going to throw it to the probability penguin for his segment of the week.
Thank you, Lusty. Well, as you all know, we get an extra week of football this season, and that means that there are records from the 16-game era that stand to be broken. Here are some of the records that stand to be broken in Week 18. So we know that Tom Brady eclipsed Drew Brees' career passing yards and completion records this year, and he has a chance to break his season records too. In terms of passing yards, now this one is admittedly a long shot, but it bears mentioning. Tom Brady is currently through 16 games at 4,990 yards. Compare that to Peyton Manning's record of 5,477 yards set in 2013. And if Tom Brady has an all-time outing and throws for 487, he can tie and then surpass that record. But here's one that's a more probable outcome in terms of overtaking the record. It's the pass completion record. So Tom Brady's currently sitting at 456. Drew Brees' standing record is 471, set in 2016. That would mean that Tom Brady only has to complete 15 passes to tie that record, 16, and he takes the record for himself. He's also in line to potentially surpass the standing pass attempts record. Tom Brady has thrown for 682. Matt Stafford's pass attempt holds the pass attempt record at 727. That was set back in 2012. So if Tom Brady attempts 45 passes, then he can tie and then, of course, go on to exceed that record. I don't know if that's one you want, but those are the statistics for you. All right, let's talk about quarterback sacks. This is the record on this list that is most likely to fall. TJ Watt is sitting currently on 21.5 sacks this season. The record set by Michael Strahan in 2001 is 22.5. So for you math aficionados there at home, that's a difference of 1 sack. If TJ can pull that off, he ties the record and then can go on to exceed it. Let's talk about another stud of this year, and that's Cooper Kupp. He's got a couple of records that, while not necessarily easy to eclipse, he certainly has a shot at. And with the Rams potentially sealing up the number 2 spot in the NFC with a win, there is incentive for them to keep him out here. So in terms of receptions, Cooper Kupp is currently standing at 138. The record held by Michael Thomas is 149, set back in 2019. So that's 11 receptions to tie that record. That's a big ask, but crazier things have happened, and he has games this season where he's eclipsed those reception numbers. Receiving yards, he's even more likely to overtake. That record, of course, belongs to the great Megatron Calvin Johnson, 1,964 yards. He set that in 2012. Cooper Kupp is currently sitting at 1,829 yards. That's a difference of 135 yards. It could happen. It could happen.
That's fucking wild.
Isn't it? Isn't it wild? Here's another one for you. Here's the last one I've got. It's for field goals, made field goals in a season. Now, David Akers holds the record in 2011 with 44. God bless the man. Dustin Hopkins is currently sitting at 41 made field goals. That's just 3 more field goals to tie the record. A 4th pulls him ahead. I think there's plenty of conversation to be had about whether there's merit in comparing these records to the records of the 16-game era. We can have that debate out, but as far as the NFL numbers are concerned, these will stack right up against those, and some of those old records are going to bite the dust. Back to you, Lusty.
Yeah, I mean, great work as always. Attaboy probability. Couple notes on my end. So you mentioned TB needed 487 yards to surpass the record.
Yeah, it doesn't feel likely, does it? I mean, if they're doing that well, you have to imagine Tom Brady's going to be sad at some point during that game.
Yeah. Well, there's a notable game where he threw for more yards than that, but still lost.
Is that right?
Yes, sir. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Oh, is that right? He threw for more than 487 in the Super Bowl.
505, I believe.
That's incredible.
And I think he had 3 touchdowns, 505. I think Nick Foles had in the 370 area, but yeah.
Unreal. What a game.
Yeah, that was one of the greatest games I've ever seen. But yeah, great work, man. I think it does bear another discussion about whether these records, especially because it's the first year that they're really expanding, if these records really impact as much as they should. But I mean, it's hard to guess. Excuse me?
It doesn't seem right, does it, for Calvin Johnson's record to be, passing yards record, for instance, to be eclipsed the first year they go into the 17-game season. And frankly, Cooper Kupp has acknowledged as much. He said that if he does eclipse it, it ought to stand in another category, being that it was done over a longer duration. So I think, it's nice to hear that some of the players are in line with what the fan base is saying, even those that stand to claim those new records.
Yeah. Yeah, and also just like, I don't know, it's just not as cool with Cooper Kupp doing it. Like Cooper Kupp's like 5'5". Megatron's like, shut the fuck up.
I love watching Cooper Kupp play. I really do. But Megatron's an all-timer in terms of entertainment value that he brought to the game.
Yeah. Well, there's a good chance they play the Birds first round of the playoffs. So I kind of hope Rodney McLeod takes his fucking hand off. All right. So let's get into some picks for this week. My first pick is going to be the Pats minus 6.5 against the Dolphins. The Dolphins got trounced by the Titans last week. Pats are kind of on a mission to embarrass people right now. I could see this being an absolute blowout. And I think Belichick's not really going to take his foot off the neck once he gets him backed up against the wall. But my land of milk and honey lock this week was thought about for an immense amount of time. We have a lot of crazy shit going on week 18 for the NFL. What team is not going to be affected by COVID? What team is going to roll out there and do their job like they should? And they have done every single week for the last 10 years. Bama +3 against Georgia. Are you kidding me? Saban owns Kirby Smart. This is not Bama getting money. If they lose this, they should storm something or blow something up. I'm not advocating on it.
I appreciate that disclaimer, Lusty. I mean, how often is it that we get, a preview of the championship game just a few weeks out from that game? If it looks anything like
it, but like Kirby Smart's never come close.
I'm agreeing with you. If it looks anything like the game we just got to see with these two teams, then Alabama's going to run away with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I respect Georgia. I like Georgia, but I just
agreed. It's a good squad, but Alabama's just got that special sauce, man.
Yep. How about yourself?
Well, so the first thing I'll say is that Week 18 of the NFL is an absolute nightmare for a stats nerd like me because there's so much uncertainty going into this. You've got teams playing for nothing, teams that have been eliminated from the playoffs, teams that when they get ahead are going to start to sit their roster. So I'm focusing my attention on one pick this week, and I'm taking the Jets with the points. Yeah, you heard me, the Jets. Sure, they're awful, but they are picking up 16.5. Do not adjust your radio. 16.5 is the right number that they're getting against Buffalo. Buffalo has been tremendously uncertain in the last handful of weeks. They can't secure a bye with the win. Sure, they can move around in the rankings, but the bye is out of their reach. And as soon as this game is in hand, the Bills are going to rest the ones. And the Jets are bad, but I don't think they're worse than the backups that the Bills have. Give me the Jets plus 16.5.
So you're saying Jets money line?
Okay, now you adjust your video.
Do you get paid for this show? You just choose the Jets?
Yeah, listen,
In front of the thousands of Swedish listeners, you're going to choose the Jets?
I never thought I'd be here, but week 18 does strange things to all of us.
You heard it here. He chooses the Jets. All right, guys. Well, we appreciate you guys tuning in. We have some awards coming around the corner. Stay tuned for that. But the next time you listen to us, we're going to be talking playoff football. So tune in. Brought to you by Prize Picks. As always, use the code THEZOO. We'll match up to $100 of your first deposit when you get in your first match. Thank you for listening. Go Birds.
Go Birds.